Na 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 na. A reggae agenda in the area. Na 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 na. We know say a reggae agenda.
Yes, welcome. My name is Linnorass for reggaeagenda.nl. We all know we have the king of dancehall, King Yellowman, but we have also, on this moment, the king of the melodica, Addis Pablo. Yes, man, Addis, it's a pleasure to meet you.
Yes, sir.
Yes, I. I wish you Europe tour for so far. How was your experience?
The Europe tour has been good so far. You know, we've performed on a few festivals and shows, such as Reggae Jam in Germany, Door Festival in Belgium. We performed in Italy, and this weekend we're going to be going to Poland. So yeah, man, it's been good so far. As well as we performed in Arnhem here in the park, you know. Yeah, so we've had some good shows.
Okay, yes, fine. And do you feel like people treat you different because you're the son of Augustus Pablo?
I wouldn't say they treat me different, but I think they just show me respect, and they appreciate the fact that I'm coming from the lineage of Augustus Pablo, and you know, due to the respect they have for him, it passed on to me. You know, like the legacy of your parents, good or bad name, pass on to their children. You know, so I think that's the same with anybody. If your father is a known man in Arnhem or wherever it is, you know, people have respect for you based on that, you know. Yeah. And if you keep up to that and you don't create a shame to his legacy, and since I'm doing the works in the same vein, because that's why I'm even here, you know, it's not because just because I'm Augustus Pablo's son, it's because I'm doing the works, performing as Sons of Dub, and people respect that as well, so I think respect is coming from, you know.
Was it difficult to be seen as a child of Augustus Pablo?
Honestly, when I was younger, I really didn't take much notice to it because Augustus Pablo is just my dad, you know, and I knew who he was in terms of being a musician, and I would go to the studio with him and everything, and I was kind of just around him a lot, so it wasn't really difficult, you know. I would say any difficulty is coming to probably learning his music because it's so great and performing it to a certain level, so that's probably the only difficulty, you know. But outside of that, it's just being yourself, you know.
Yeah. Okay. And you're staying in Arnhem. What is your experience from Arnhem and the people of Arnhem?
Well, for me, this is not my first time in Arnhem. This is actually like my second or third time, but every time it's been good, man. It's a nice place, good vibes, quiet, you know. People seem to love the vibes of reggae because a lot of one-on-one shows love us in the street, you know, walk around, people always like bless up, even if they might not know what we're doing, but there's a positive vibe, so it's a good vibe in a good place.
Okay. Instead of staying at a fancy Babylon hotel, you are staying with locals. We like that. Do you prefer it like that? To
stay with people versus staying at yeah, honestly, that's what we do most times across the world. We usually stay at hotels only for like the nights of a festival or a show. If we're having a show, we probably stay at the hotel for that time. But if we're gonna be here for longer, we usually stay at friends' places, or you know, somebody that we might know, or somebody we might get connected with through a friend or so. Yeah, so it's kind of how we live across the world, even when we're not on tour, you know. So it's normal.
You did shows with Walkers International. In France, Belgium, the Netherlands. You've been also in the UK.
Yeah.
What you can tell us about this, about that experience?
Well, you know, as far as Rockers International, I would say that's me same way. You know, like Addis Pablo is Rockers International, and Rockers International is from my father, Augustus Pablo. So that's kind of the whole thing that I'm representing. But the tour in London was great. You know, London is kind of like home. We have a lot of family and friends there, so it's always a good experience. We had a chance to go to some far out places up in Wales and, you know, Swansea and all kind of. We had a good show in Bristol as well. So went to go to His Majesty's house actually in the area, because you know he was there for a few years during the invasion of Ethiopia. So we got to visit his place. So it was a very good experience, man. I give thanks for that.
esoteric messages and every punchline. Although they hearing this, you will ignore mine. Rastafari works is surely divine. Don't join no religion that is poorly designed. Don't fall in a line. Follow nobody. The blind lead the blind. Totally search your heart. You can feel love.
Can you tell us more about the beginning of Walkers International showcase in the back of today's of your father?
Well, Rockers International, I can't say everything about it, you know, of course, because this is something that started 30 years back or so before I was born, you know, but from what I've learned and, you know, heard from my dad and friends and so on and so forth, is that Rockers International was first a sound system that my dad started with his brother Douglas, who was like his older brother, and they would go around and play out different venues and buy records downtown Kingston. They would go to the record shops and buy their vinyl, and they had a certain style of selecting, which was like they would phase out the instruments like dub, and you know, so they were already kind of I would say innovating.
Every year you did a tribute show for your father.
Yes.
I was like to performing in the name of your father.
Honestly, all of my performances is pretty much in tribute to my father, especially playing the melodica, you know. So, and that's usually what I'm doing. But just me being involved in the music in this aspect, like on stage and stuff, is mostly in tribute to my dad and paying homage to the works he did, as well as performing my works as well. But you know, it's really in his name, you know. Yeah. So to do a tribute show for him is a very good feeling, you know? And we're happy to be able to do this whenever we can.
Okay. Your father was very big in Japan.
Yeah, man.
How was it like to visit Japan and play massive out?
Yeah, it was very nice, man. Japan is one of the best trips I would say I've had so far on the road, in terms of the reception from the people, even the persons who brought us over, you know. They were very respectful and tried to make the best time for us. And we met a lot of old friends too and family, because like I said, my dad is very popular in Japan, so I grew up with people from Japan, you know. Some of them used to live at my house, you know. So it was good to go back there and see them and meet back up over so many years, you know. And I've always wanted to go to Japan from my earlier days as a youth, because my dad would come back there with some really nice, cool things, you know. So Japan was always interesting.
What is the biggest difference if you do a show in Japan and a show like Reggae Jam in Germany? What is the biggest difference there?
In terms of the reception from the crowd, there's not much difference, but I would just say Japan has a culture that's very humble and respectful. So the way they treat you is kind of different, and especially in the homage to my dad, they very admire his work much, you know, and they appreciate me coming to represent him. So yeah, I wouldn't say it's much difference, but in Japan they definitely go the extra mile to make sure you feel how you should feel, I guess. Okay.
And when you did know that you want to follow your father and two steps in your father's footsteps, yes.
Yeah. I would say from an earlier age, I've always been interested in music, and growing up around the music, it was almost like that was my playground. You know? I was going to the studio, you know, being amongst the musicians, singers, players of instruments. Of course, my dad himself being a creative genius, and you know, he just always had that environment around him. It was always musical or Rastafari related, so it was pretty much natural to feel the passion or the drive to come into this field or this works. But it was through the encouragement of a lot of good friends as well, you know, because I was somewhat shy to the level of works that my dad had and has. To even pursue it is a lot of work, you know, because he's so widely renowned for his creative ability and his melodic playing and dubbing. So it's like you have to really take it serious. So that's when I was ready to take it serious, yeah. Around the age of 15, 16 or so. I'm 26 now. Beat them up an hour with that 2x4. You know the roads not that them can't taste fish for man. They full on lyrics and they got it.
Are you ready? Are you ready? ready? Are you ready, 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 ready? Tell me when you're ready. When are you ready? When are some people are you ready? When you can be all, be all, be all, be all. When Rastafari there, be all, be all, be all, be all. What can I set the rockers that we hear?
When you did know that you wanted to play melodica, or you didn't play all the instruments before?
Well, I would say I decided that almost around the same time. I was always fond of it because, of course, it's the instrument of my father, you know, and it brought me many blessings in the sense of that's pretty much the works that sustained me and created me. So yeah. That's like, you know, it's very important to me. But around that age, I 16, 17, I started playing it more frequently. I was already working like on computers and creating rhythms and stuff like that with the keyboards. So it was just a matter of overlaying like some melodic on them or dubbing out some things, you know.
Okay. What did you like about melodica the most?
Well, for me, it's healing, you know. Yeah. Even when I play it, much less when I listen to my dad's work, is like it can carry you through anything, you know. No matter what you're going through, I feel, you know, whatever circumstances, the kind of music that will help inspire and keep you upful in yourself, you know. Yeah. So I think that's the powers of it.
Okay, a lot of people saw the documentary in my father's house, and got a glimpse of your daily life. Was that docu for you and your career, or?
Well, basically, it was just a part of the album that we created in my father's house, and I figured it would be good to showcase some visuals to accompany the work, you know, because it's a more modern day world now, you know. People like to can see how you live and what you do on a day-to-day basis, and we don't really do too many things like that, so, you know, we figured it would be a good accompaniment to the project, and I think people appreciated it. So it was both to showcase who we are and how we do things, and so people can see we're real, you know, like here in real life.
What do artists like Earl Chinna Smith mean to you, and what you have learned?
Earl Chinna Smith is like one of the key, I would say, key persons in my musical journey, in the sense of his place is like the school, you know. It's like I didn't go to say school of music or something, but if I went to any school, it was Earl Chinna Smith and in the yard, because of course he's an original rockers, you know. He was there with my dad from the days of Java, you know. That's way back in 1974, I think 73, something like that early. So he's known my dad pretty much throughout his whole career, if you call it, and it was a good bridging of him throughout that whole time. So they shared a lot of experiences together, both musically and just reality, everyday life, you know. So being around him teaches me a lot in terms of the way of life of the generation of men like him, my dad, and, you know, Peter Tosh, Bob Marley, all of them coming from that generation. So I get to learn a lot, both as a person and musically, and honestly, that's a great part of what makes me able to deliver in a certain way, is being around people like that, because at the end of the day, my dad, you know, passed on, trotted on when I was 9 years old, so I didn't really ask him much about music per se, but I did learn things that we did reason, but not to say in the sense of, you know, so a lot of things that I couldn't necessarily ask him maybe musically, or I learned from him. Chinna Smith is that person that teaches me this, because he knows pretty much all of my dad's music and all other kind of music as well. He's one of the greatest musicians from Jamaica, you know.
Okay.
In a general.
Yes.
Homegrown in my backyard is the best herb you could ever find. Homegrown in my backyard, and the public knows it's mine. If you come over to my place, Kingston, Jamaica, I'll give you a taste. Memory won't erase from your mind. Only the best you will find wherever you go.
Do you play a lot in the yard?
Yeah, like I said earlier, I mean, in the yard is one of the places I've played the most, I probably say, in the world, because I was pretty much there from sort of years 2009 or so up to 2012, 2013, almost every day or every couple of weeks, and we would rehearse for shows, let's jam, you know, play the piano, record. So yeah, it's one of the most frequent places for performances, especially in Jamaica, of course.
A lot of reggae fans are dreaming about to going on a vacation and go to Inna the Yard.
Yes.
Yeah. If they will do that, are they welcome or?
They're actually very welcome, because in my experience in the yard, I've seen people from all over the world. Most of them just kind of walk in, or sometimes they come in with somebody who knows Chinna or knows one of us who are in the yard. But I've seen people from Korea, America, Africa, Europe, Russia. I think everywhere in the world, pretty much. You know, maybe some small islands, not but every island. Trinidad, Puerto Rico, who, you know, name places. And I've seen people just kind of randomly walk in. Some of them just start playing music, and Chinna will play with them, you know. Or if they're a singer, we'll listen to them and vibe with them, or jam with us, you know. So yeah, you're very welcome. You know, it's a Rastafari place, you know. Rastafari is kind of one of the most open people to everybody, you know. So whatever class, creed, race, sex, gender, whatever you call it.
What do you think about the reggae revival in Jamaica? Jamaica bringing artists like Prodigy, Quanix, Janine, Jesse Royal, Ibamar, and many more.
Yeah.
How do you think about that?
I'm very happy for the youths that are rising up, you know. Everybody is coming up with their work and coming to perform on the stages across the world, you know, and getting popularity and being able to provide for themselves and their family, you know. However, in terms of the reggae revival, I'm not really so much fully, like, I can't really say what that is, because for me, reggae has sustained me, or kind of created me, you know. Rockers, more so rockers still, but rockers is considered to be reggae, as far as music is concerned. So yeah, reggae music through Rockers International, my dad, has sustained me up to this point in my life, and I don't think that I look like I need reviving. I think I look, you know, fully up on one stage, you know. So for me, it's not much revival, it's just kind of continuation.
What do you think about the sound system culture in Europe? Some of the sessions, they like house parties with very fast beats. Do you like that fast beats, or do you want more the roots reggae?
Well, naturally for me, my vibe is like more slow tempo, you know. That's just my pace. Like, that kind of person I am. I move at that. I don't really move like at that pace. But I appreciate the works that have been done in Europe over the years, maintaining the sound system culture. You know, it's important, because even in places like Jamaica, you wouldn't see it as much. It's just now you see more people, or at least really one person, is Kingston Dub Club, you know, Gabriel Selassie, maintaining that kind of sound system culture, and other younger ones like Yardcore, you know, falling in line. But yeah, it's good to see what Europe has done over the years, coming here and seeing the culture and the level and the amount of people who are coming to these concerts and these shows. And I think you do have selectors out there who still carry roots vibes, you know, but predominantly, like you said, it's fast paced, you know. But the fast pace is alright for some time, but you know, we like the slow tempo, you know, mid tempo kind of rockers, militant style, you know.
Okay.
But it's good, you know, give thanks for the work. It's maintaining the culture that's started, you know, both in places like London way back in the 60s and 50s, and in Jamaica as well, and other places throughout the world, you know.
Okay. There were a lot of sound systems around Europe, like King Shiloh, Awashanti, Jashaka. Do you have contact with this sounds? And do you have the ambition to join a session from one of them?
Well, I've had contact with most of these people. King Shiloh, I believe we've spoken to, you know, through various, maybe not directly, but through agents or through friends. Jashaka I've met more than one time. We actually did a tour with his son, Young Warrior, in London a few months ago. So we saw Jashaka regularly, talked to him on the phone. And yeah, basically we also performed with Jayut Roots Ambassador from London as well, and we performed a few times with him. So we're open to join any sound system. You know, we can bring our selections and, you know, rockers vibes, rockers party.
Okay. The sound system sessions in Europe, they are under pressure by the police and the politics.
Yeah.
What is your meaning about that?
Well, I mean, you have to understand, from sound system culture, it was really starting in Jamaica. It was something that kind of was going against the grain of the system, because it was an avenue for people who couldn't afford to necessarily have radios and buy records, or they could have radios, but they might not be able to buy every record and, you know, buy a big sound system for themselves to play. But they could come out to a dance and hear the favorite music, you know, whether it's coming from America. And when Jamaica's music developed to the level where they could hear local records, you know, so the sound system has always been an enterprise for the independent man, like the man of the street, you know, the man who is a hustler or a producer, whatever the case is, for him to showcase his works, you know. So basically, if they're getting that fight, it's not really surprising for me. It's just a matter of, I think, uniting, and then he can have some strength. He can maybe form some group or a body that can, it's easier to fight, you know, because when you do it single-handedly, it's harder, you know. You get a bigger fight. And that's what caused a lot of issues even in Jamaica. The politics got involved, and certain parties and certain persons swayed to sound systems, and it led to even tragedies in terms of violence, and even with King Tubby's sound system being like demolished due to political influence, you know, like coming in through politics and violence through criminality, you know.
Technological lies, I feel the ghetto man cry. Blackness was born in light, none but Jah, none but Jah.
You play alongside of a lot of different sounds. In Arnhem, you play with Asiatic roots also. Do you like these sounds, or
the sound system, you mean?
Yes.
Yeah. Well, for me, it's just a matter of the music being right in terms of the equipment and all these things. So we're willing to play with anybody, man. Once the vibe is right and the equipment tune right and the right mix and all these things, you know, we love our sound system, you know. They say the only good system is our sound system, so, you know, we love all of them.
Yes. The Mighty Crown mixtape from Son of Dubs, alongside Mighty Crown from Japan. It was massive.
Sure.
How was your cooperation with these guys?
Well, we met with Mighty Crown, our members from Mighty Crown in Jamaica. Me and Jamie met Samity and Master Simon a few years, I would say last year sometime. actually at Kingston Dub Club, and I believe from at that point we did start discussing interest in doing a mixtape or some type of collaboration, and over that time period we began kind of sending music to them to let them hear what we would have an idea to put on this mixtape, and going over ideas of the name and title, and doing more works to contribute to it, about dub plates and special mixes for the mixtape, and also certain releases that we plan on releasing we scheduled on it too. So it was like a collaborative effort, and it was good. Mighty Crown is a good team. Koji is a nice diverse team of selectors, and they're doing well, keeping the music up.
You also did a couple of shows in Singapore club. Dub Club, yes. How was it like over there?
It was very nice. I mean, Singapore is an interesting region. That's Asia and whole, I feel. It was good to be able to travel there at this point to perform in a few places where not much reggae artists get the chance to perform in, and especially doing dub music. So I believe that was pretty much the first Singapore dub club, and we kind of started it off with our friend Mesa One and her team over there in Singapore. So it was very good vibes from the people. I mean, it was what you'd call a small crowd, but a lot of times that small crowd is good because people who come out really want to see what you're doing, and it's intimate, So it was nice. We also performed in Malaysia and Indonesia, so it was good. Hong Kong, it was very nice vibes.
Okay.
Yeah, man.
Nice. We hear that you are that a new album coming up.
Yes.
What you can tell about that?
We have a new LP. It will be actually the debut LP from Sons of Dub. It's called the Far East Dub LP, and it's including tracks that me and Jamie worked on, in terms of Jamie doing the mixing and production, and myself doing the melodica, and also helping to create some of the rhythms with a producer from New Jersey, Tim, and the Predator Dub Assassins. Pretty much is a group he has, and a production label as well, so we kind of collaborated with him. The vocalist on the album is Jabami, who's a Sons of Dub artist and a member of Sons of Dub. Prince Allah has a cut, and Mikey Jarrett as well for vocals. So it's a nice LP. It's going to be dub and instrumental, kind of easy rocking live vibes, upful music.
Any big projects? Any big projects or tour coming up? You want the people know about that?
Yeah, well, we're gonna be actually going over to the US in almost a couple of weeks. On the 6th of September, we'll have a show in California, and then we'll be doing an East Coast tour, live band style, me and Jabami, and even maybe down as far as Puerto Rico. It's like a US tour, and then in November we come back here to continue to promote the same LP in the Far East. So we're pretty much on a promotional run right now to accompany the album, and we're just gonna keep it pushing, until the album's released, and we'll do some pressing. We'll have vinyl coming out, and it will be available on CD as well and online. So, but the focus is
Okay.
More projects to come as well too, but that's the main focus right now.
Okay. You're working now for 2 years with the former Roadblock agency from Holland. As one of the main acts.
Yes, sir.
Now they joined Walker's International Agency to work exclusive with you and Son of Dubs.
Son of Dub, yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit more of your plans in the future about this new agency?
Yeah, like I said, Walker's International Agency is a collaboration between Roadblock, which is Thomas Evers, and we've been working with him for 2 years, as I said, and we just decided that it would be good to focus on one program in our one package, which is pretty much Rockers International, which includes Sons of Dub, and by association people like Exile the Brave, Earl 16. But we know it's a much stronger effort when you make just to focus on one thing, you get like a laser kind of focus. So pretty much it's just to grow the more shows, in the future, of course, bring up more artists, possibly bring like in the yard package, things like that, just expanding and growing and going to further places, bigger shows, more shows for ourselves as well, like doing our own festivals, things like that in the future,
Okay. When was your first contact with the Roadblock agency?
Well, I would say a little bit maybe within 3 years ago. We kind of met Thomas around the same time I was working on my album, or like the final stages of it. We met him through the fact that Just Solid Rock was working with Earl 16, and we kind of met him through the whole connection between Earl and Rockers at the same time. So it kind of came full circle, and we got a chance to meet, of course, in London the first time, which was in the year 2014. That was last year, 2014. We did a show in London, and he kind of put it together as well. That was like the first show we worked with him on. So from there, we've just been keeping in contact and building the thing and formulating a plan, you know.
Yes. Okay. If people want to invite you to coming by your studio to playing with your melodica, can they approach you directly, or the most of the pass your managers, your management first?
Well, I mean, they can just contact us really at our email, sonsofdub@gmail.com, sunsofdub@gmail.com. But of course, if they see me in person, or like we're here now or at a show, they can approach me, because even if it has to go through my manager, they can speak to me first, and I can pass it on to the necessary, you know. But I'm very open. I'm a very open person, so people can approach me with any interest, you know. I'm not like, you know, bodyguards and them type of things. No managers. I'm here, you know. Live,
what is the most special thing you experienced for so far in your career?
It's hard to say what's the most special thing, because so far, because another day, I've only been doing this for a certain time, even though it's kind of been 10 years for the most part. But there's so much more to see and to happen. I couldn't name one specific moment, but I can just being able to travel and connect with people who appreciate what I do and what my dad did and what we do as a group with Sons of Dub and all these things. That's that's the most important thing, or that's the most brightest thing, if you call it, you know. That's keeping to hear people give a good reception and appreciate what we do. That's what it's about for the most part.
Okay. You have the pleasure to work with grateful, talented artists. But what we want to know is which artists you want to play in the future, to work together. You understand?
In reggae, or just general? Because I would say in reggae, I've worked with not everyone I want to work with. I would like to work with a lot more musicians, possibly like Sly and Robbie, and you know. But I've worked with like Chinna Smith, and I have played on probably jam sessions with people like that. Robbie Lynn, Roots Radix Band. I've played with Style Scott before he passed away. So I think I had a blessing of either working or at least seeing a lot of these great people, or being amongst them for recordings. Even the younger generation of people like Chronix, we did some work with, and Janine, Exile the Brave, you know, and different people. So it's good. I've already had a good experience, and there's definitely more to do, but I can't think of anyone right now. But I'm sure like younger acts as well, you know, and probably even people in a different genre of music, because we're open to collaborations, you know, to kind of connect the dots.
Okay. You have a sister, call it Isis Swabi?
Yeah, Isis Swabi. That's
Isis Swabi.
my sister.
She's a DJ. Have you ever been work with her?
Yeah, well, you know, it's my sister, so we've pretty much grown up together, even though we didn't grow up necessarily in the same place, but we've always been together throughout our lives. And she's played on the tribute show last year, as well as this year. She was participating in it, in the whole event, and I've joined her, not necessarily on stage, but I've been to her shows and vice versa. So we've always connecting, and actually in the upcoming US tour, she'll be on some of the dates with us. So we're definitely going to start doing more things like that, you know.
Yes. I've been asked you the most special thing in your career.
Right.
But what I want to know right now is your most embarrassing thing in your career.
Embarrassing?
Yes.
It's hard to say. I don't think I've had that kind of embarrassment per se in my career, but things that can happen is like if a band is playing something off or like the music goes off, it's kind of embarrassing for me. So that's the most, but I don't think we try to not avoid embarrassment. I guess everybody does, but we haven't been in a situation where it was embarrassing in the public forum or in a musical career sense. So no, not much embarrassment, just not having the right sound probably, or a musician playing something off or not playing the right part in a song.